far north, an ancient extraterrestrial race present on Earth to this day. This is the area of Hyperborea of the ancient texts, especially of ancient Greeks. Far north as an area, and far north as the inhabitants of the area. These are names that come from Greek mythology that could mean beyond the north, above the north, beyond the North Pole, above the North Pole, beyond or above the North Wind. Interpretations that have less to do with the ancient mythologies may have meant, but with how modern interpretation attempts to understand it, everyone agrees that in Earth's current geography, the far north could be somewhere in the north, near or around the North Pole. Of course, both the far north and far north are considered as mythical cities, Hyperborea, which existed only in the imagination of ancients such as Atlantis and Lemuria. Consequently, for skeptics, what follows could easily be a neo-mythological approach and nothing more. For the rest, perhaps, they are indications of an unknown reality, of an unknown past, however, could touch the today. It seems that perhaps it was not only the ancient Greeks who referred to the far north Hyperborea. There is a possibility that other sources give some information about a culture that lived in these northern areas without always being sure that they show, quote unquote, the same ancient or even mythical culture. If this culture has indeed been described by others, then we learn that the far north was quite, the people of the far north were quite tall with blue eyes, had blonde hair and very white skin. Their society was very well organized with constant development, with a special love for the arts and sciences, with love and respect for man, as they had developed relationships with peoples beyond their own tribes and races. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box. Their DNA must have been such that they probably knew neither old age nor disease. They cultivated the spirit and the heart. They were very psychic beings, and it's said, in fact, that the people of the far north, Hyperborea, were long-lived people, that they used to live about 14 million years, according to the mythology. There's a paradox in this wonderful kingdom. While it was theoretically located somewhere in the northern regions of our planet, which today we know to be cold and icy, then in those years, eternal spring prevailed amid, and the sun shone, from what they said, 24 hours a day. Another strange thing is that while everyone knew where the far north was, Hyperborea, it was almost impossible to get there because this area was protected by huge transparent ice walls. Even those who did get there had succeeded with means of transportation that were not conventional. That is, they used those used by many people. They were quite sophisticated, guarding and specialized security that did not allow entry to anyone who did not have the permit to get in. It was a tribe that lived peacefully, without war, and above all, without participating in other wars or putting wicks to ignite wars in foreign areas in order to serve their own interests. An exception to this are the Griffins, with whom they were in a constant defensive war because they threatened to snatch the gold of their country. It's said that they also built underground tunnels on various continents and had access to places from which they extracted energy and or whatever they used, and turned it into a positive for the planet's beings, or even a kind of free energy. In fact, there are modern claims that somewhere in these tunnels there are gates which were used to transport them to other places, even beyond Earth. Some researchers claim that the far north, Hyperborea, may have coexisted for some time with the powerful civilizations of Atlantis and Lemuria and the ancient Greeks, at a time when Apollo had many contacts with them, in fact, exchanging such knowledge. Apollo being one of the 12 gods of the ancient Greeks who lived in Olympus, Mount Olympus. Now, it's argued that the far north is not a legend but still exists. It has not been lost. We're talking about the mythical Hyperborea here. After the sinking of the continent of Atlantis, it's very likely that they took care to live somewhere on Earth where one can only reach by following the underground tunnels they built. They were already preparing to move inside the planet. Maybe they are somewhere in favor of the north, that is above the north, essentially in the state that does not step on Earth but flies above it. It's very probable, as a conjecture, that some of the descendants who remained and survived on the surface of our planet, or who came to the surface over time in the course of our human history, adapted to different parts of the world when they mingled with inhabitants different regions of the planet. I guess here they're also referring to what we would call Nephilim. Perhaps the only known point that connects the then with the today, the myth with history, is a visit of the far northern Avar to Pythagoras, the ancient Greek Pythagoras. We know him from trigonometry. Now, it was to learn, as Imbiclicus mentions, while until for some time they did not stop and give up what they had with Delos, according to Herodotus. If such information could be true, then the hypothesis is that Hyperborea of the far north still exists somewhere on our planet, in or above our planet, could possibly be substantiated. Some of the above reports could have even some nuggets of truth, overcoming the taboo of a fairy tale. We would not rule out the possibility that the far north Hyperboreans are an alien race, which still exists from the distant past until today. Now, this is from a Greek article I've translated for you. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support.